We're back on Get It Girl with talented singer, songwriter, Kablito. How are you?
How are you?
You're feeling alive? Thank you for present us with your time. You know, time is the most precious thing we can gift each other.
Yeah, especially as an artist, right?
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, let me take over.
This is our resident artist.
Yes.
Artifacts, our resident artist and musician.
Yeah, I've been checking your profile, and I saw you released a song recently. Tell us about that song.
Corazón
Partido.
Yes. Corazón Partido. So I wrote that late last year. I went through a really breakup. And I went to the studio like 2 days after.
Oh, wow.
I was a mess. I was like a total mess.
The feelings were raw.
That's the best therapy, though.
I was actually gonna like cancel the session, and then I was like, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go do this.
How did you find your gift to be able to express your feelings? I mean, as it is just in general in our society, feelings aren't easy to just put out there. How did it first start for you?
I mean, it is like still scary. Like even putting this out, I was like, oh my gosh, my ex is gonna hear this. Like, you know,
like,
it's
so
definitely
what?
like
So what?
It's like a scary feeling to be like.
It's like you're not only vulnerable with yourself, but you're vulnerable with the world, basically.
Yeah.
And I would be mortified if my ex knew like all of the feelings that go through my head sometimes. But
yeah, it's definitely a scary feeling, but. I mean, that is like the art within like making music. I feel like that's my therapy. That's how I get over stuff. It's just
and it's
writing about
interesting
it.
because every time you're feeling happy, sad, being in the studio, it's like the best feeling, right? Even though you don't want to, you just gotta get your ass there and you just
I'm like, this is what I'm here for.
because then the day after you're gonna be like, oh, okay.
Totally. And like, I love that song. It's like, that was my therapy, but I can like listen back to it and like, it still has that place. Like I can go back to it in a way.
Yeah, music takes you back to that emotion for sure. But I mean, expressing those feelings, did you learn with journaling? Like, how did you really get used to the dialogue? Because it's not easy to express your feelings, especially through music.
Yeah. I think, I mean, I've been writing since I was pretty young.
Okay.
Like I learned guitar when I was like maybe 10 years old. My dad taught me. So I've always been like just writing like throughout, and I used to journal a lot as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like a combination of those two things.
Definitely.
You know? Just
Now you
always
mentioned
been-
that when you were writing this song, you got to work with someone that you always wanted to work with.
Yeah.
But you've worked with, I mean, a number of amazing producers, Tiny. So who have you learned the most from, would you say, out of the people that you've worked with?
Everyone has something new to like that I'm learning from. Like, but I mean, just watching Tiny work is crazy. He's so talented. He's just so fast. Like, and he just gets it. Like, I'll be like, I don't have to explain. Like, I'm like, you're doing what I want. Yeah. Like, he's just.
You guys are on the same wavelength.
Right?
Yeah, but also Cambo, who I wrote Corazón Partido with, like him and I have a really good connection, and as well as this guy, Samuel Karim. I have a new song with him coming out on this EP that I'm about to put out. And I don't have like a date yet, but we're working on it. It's coming.
Tell us about the EP. Is it still in the vein of this breakup song, Love, or what's behind the songs you're going to release?
So it's called Sentimental. This is the first time I say it out loud. It's called Sentimental.
I Get It Girl exclusive.
Because it's definitely like the most personal record I've written, and like this breakup was like a really big one, like for me. Like it was like a 4.5-year-old thing. So I wrote a whole thing about it. Basically, it's just me like opening up about my feelings, which is something that we talked about. It's hard to do, and I'm an Aquarius. I'm like very much just like, I look really tough, but I'm like super emotional. So it's about that. It's about just like opening up and just talking about like what I went through basically through this breakup.
Are there any features on the EP?
Not yet.
Okay.
There might be though. There might be.
What's your wish list for collaborators?
I mean, I got to work with Álvaro Díaz, who I love. I just put out a song with him on his EP, La Ciudad de los Niños Tristes, I believe that's what it's called. Nice. And well, I would love to work with Balvin Cortez, Cortez. My friend Setangana, I'm really hoping to work with him soon.
Cool.
the list is...
This is a long list.
It's a long list. We'll be here all day.
Oh
but
my God.
those are a few that I'm hoping to work with like soon.
And do you only write songs that, like when you're heartbroken, or is there also just other fun songs that you plan to do in the future?
Yeah, no, I write about everything. This just happens to be like what's happening right now.
Okay.
It's very present, you know, I'm going through it, but I write about everything for sure.
What's your favorite thing to write about?
Love.
Yeah. It's something about love that can get us like...
Because everyone can relate,
Yeah.
you know? Like even sometimes like I'll be writing a song and it's about one thing, but someone will like interpret it some other way.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. Well, we have a ton more to talk with you about, so you're sticking here on the couch, and you guys need to stick here on Get It Girl, because we'll be right back with Kablito. And we're back on Get It Girl with the lovely Kablito. You know, we had to keep the conversation going because your story is so interesting. Can you tell us about your beginnings and like how you started working in music?
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Excited. Yeah.
I know, there's so much to talk about. So I've always made music since I was like really little. But I mean, I like grew up in choir.
Really?
Like I was very Christian, singing in choir.
Much different than reggaeton, right?
Much different. Much different. My dad is like, what happened? What happened to everything I taught you, you know? But here we are. Anyways, but I've always made music, and I started writing at a young age. And then I went to school for music. I studied music composition, and then just kind of like wrote some songs and was like in bands like as a teenager, and then a few years ago I started taking it seriously and have been just working at it really hard for as long as I can remember.
How was the transition from being in choir and Christian music to now doing reggaeton? Was that, were you always a fan of that type of music, or how did you make the switch?
I mean, like I come from like, I grew up in Ecuador, so I come from, you know, I was very like a good girl, and like I was like, you know, playing guitar and writing kind of like folk music more at the beginning when I was a teenager. So I come from like a singer-songwriter type of place. Like I'll just like sit in my room and like write on guitar. But as I like got older, like I got into like new music, reggaeton, and you know, I moved to New York and just kind of like I used to live in Minneapolis. That's where I lived a very long time. So when I was there, I was writing a lot of like cute indie music, you know? You know, I was like, there weren't very many Latinos around me, so it was just different times. And then when I moved to New York, I kind of got back into like my Latin roots and like kind of like made more Latin friends, and then like listened to more reggaeton, and it just kind of naturally happened that I just like picked up on all those things.
Definitely.
And your style is not like traditional reggaeton,
It's not,
like
no,
perreo,
no.
like it's
No.
very it's more like alternative, eclectic.
It is like
right?
I still feel like my melodies come from like a very like singer-songwriter like melodies, you know.
That's
like,
what it makes it unique, right? The
yeah,
blend.
but it's just like there's a reggaeton beat. You know?
Yeah. And your whole family supported you to do this music thing?
Yeah, I mean, my mom is always just like, do whatever makes you happy, you know.
Sweet. Mom.
But yeah, she's very sweet. She's got my back for sure. Yeah, they know. Like I've always wanted to do this. I think at the beginning I was like a bit afraid to like try it, you know, because like we were like immigrants and and you know like we wanted like stability, and it's like a scary you know profession to go after. Like being a musician, like you're like throwing yourself out into the unknown in a way, you know. But I think like she's seen how like I'm growing and like how all these influential people are backing me up, and I think it's just like made her like believe in it. You know, she's just like, you got this.
Yeah, I mean,
know?
it takes a lot of courage to just pick up and move to New York. That's like, it's like coming to move to LA. It's really difficult. And was there challenges though within you when you first did it? Like, what was the final inspiration for you to finally do it?
I mean, like, I just was feeling like living in Minneapolis, like, I wanted to make Latin music, and it was like a weird place to make Latin music, because it's a pretty, you know, not very diverse place, I would say, compared to like LA and New York. So I think I was feeling like an outsider for a very long time in this place. I just kind of ended up moving there, like, when we moved to the States. But I was feeling like an outsider, and I just like needed to be
like
surrounded
that spirit
by
guide.
Yeah, I was just like, I need to be like around Latin people. So I like went to my aunt's house and spent some time with her in Queens, and then just kind of was like surrounded by Latin people all over again. And that's when it all began.
Oh, so you had family in Queens already.
Yeah.
So that helps probably a little bit too, because imagine having to go out there all by yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I stayed with her for a little bit, and then I was like,
you needed time.
Gracias. But I'm good. They were like giving me all these like curfews and shit. I was like,
no,
sorry,
it's fine.
Tell us about the fashion. You're also a fashion model. Like,
Yeah.
how do you blend those two together?
So I've always loved clothes, obviously. I think just like within the past year, I started doing more campaigns, and just like a couple weeks ago, or like 3 weeks ago, I finally signed with an agency.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's called Select.
Okay,
Yeah. So just started working with them.
Cool.
And I mean, I love clothes. I'd love to do something in fashion at some point to like, even just like merch, like, or working, you know, with another brand and creating some stuff.
Yeah.
I would love to do
just
that.
put it on the universe. It will come to you.
Definitely.
It's already there.
Planned.
It's already there for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're going to
Thank
be
you.
seeing a lot more of you, I feel like. So definitely very excited for what's next.